Most traders lose money not because of ignorance, but because they fail to manage their emotions. They have prepared their setups, understand the importance of risk management, and spend days or even weeks analyzing charts. However, when it comes time to enter a trade and follow their rules, something goes wrong. They overtrade. They chase movements. They enter positions out of boredom, fear of missing out, or the need to do something, anything, to feel productive. This constant action is not trading. It is chaos disguised as effort. The market does not reward activity. It rewards sensitivity. Sensitivity requires something most investors never develop: the ability to wait quietly, to sit with your hands folded, knowing the opportunity has passed and it wasn't your setup, to watch the charts move without you and feel completely at peace, without the fear of missing out on opportunities. This is not passivity. This is mastery. I call this the monk's mindset. Think of a monk in a monastery. He doesn't rush. He doesn't react to every sound or movement. He meditates for hours, observing his thoughts as they flow, without becoming their prisoner. He understands that stillness is not emptiness. This is awareness. This is control. The same principle applies to trading. The investor who can sit still without feeling compelled to participate in every move, who can observe the market, wait for the right time for their setup, and stick to their rules, is the one who ultimately finds stability. However, most traders act in exactly the opposite way. They flail about as if drowning in the ocean, trying to grab onto everything they see. Every candle creates a sense of urgency. Every breakout feels like the last chance. Every pullback feels like a missed opportunity. This emotional noise triggers excessive trading. And excessive trading is the silent killer of accounts. It doesn't ruin you with a single dramatic loss. It slowly poisons and consumes you, trade by trade. The harsh truth is this: you don't lose because the market is against you. You lose because you are against yourself, your emotions, your fear of missing out, your need for validation through your actions. These are your enemies. The market is merely a mirror. It reflects your internal state. If there is chaos within you, your results will be chaotic on the outside. If you are calm inside, your results will stabilize. So how do you develop a monk's mindset? How do you train yourself to sit quietly when every instinct is screaming at you to act? It all starts with understanding why you overtrade. And for most traders, the fundamental reason is not logical, it's emotional. Overtrading occurs when you trade outside your plan. What matters is not the number of trades, but the quality of the decision behind each one. If 10 trades meet your criteria, you can make 10 trades a day and not be overtrading. However, even one trade made because you feel unproductive, bored, disappointed, or afraid of missing an opportunity is an example of overtrading. A single emotional trade can undo weeks of disciplined work. The first trigger is FOMO, or fear of missing out. You see the market moving, and panic sets in. What if this is a big move? What if I miss this opportunity and regret it later? These thoughts create a sense of urgency. And urgency is the enemy of discipline. The moment you feel rushed, you stop thinking clearly. You stop following your rules. Just to be part of the action, you enter trades you shouldn't, at prices you wouldn't normally accept. But no one tells you this. Missing a trade is not a loss. It's just information. It shows that the market is moving without the right conditions for your setup. That's okay. The market is always pregnant with new opportunities. There is no such thing as a last chance. But when you trade out of FOMO, you turn an impartial event into an emotional wound. The second trigger is boredom. When done correctly, trading can be incredibly tedious. You spend hours waiting for the right moment. You watch the charts, analyze, prepare, but nothing happens. And in this silence, your mind starts to conjure problems. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I should change the time frames. Maybe I should just choose this setup at this limit to stay active. Boredom convinces you that action is equivalent to progress. This misconception pushes you into the trap we call overtrading. However, being in a trade just for the sake of being in a trade can turn you into a gambler. Your brain wants to chase dopamine, and as you enter trades without rules or setups and lose, a desire to trade for revenge will arise. This cycle becomes a trap that harms you. However, doing nothing without conditions that fit your plan is usually the most profitable move. I want to address revenge trading. The third trigger is the desire for revenge. This is deadly. You lose, and instead of accepting it as part of the process, you personalize it. The market took your money, and now you want it back. You immediately enter another trade, not because it fits your plan, but because your ego demands repayment. Revenge trading is an emotional gamble. It has nothing to do with strategy. It's entirely about pride. And the market doesn't care about your pride. If you let your emotions guide your decisions, it will take everything from you. These three triggers, FOMO, boredom, and revenge, are the roots of excessive trading. And all three stem from the same place, a lack of emotional control. You're showing unconscious reactions instead of thoughtful responses. You're letting external actions determine your internal state. This is the exact opposite of a monk's mindset. A monk does not react to the wind. He observes it. He does not chase the sound of a bird. He listens. He understands that his peace depends not on what is happening around him, but on what is happening within him. This is the change you need to make in trading. Your success depends not on the market's movements, but on how you react to the market's movements. Now let's talk about the solution. How do you break this cycle? How do you train your mind to remain calm, disciplined, and selective? The answer is simpler than you think, but harder than most traders are willing to accept. Keep a trading journal. Before we dive deeper, let me ask you this. Do you think you succumb to your emotions and fall prey to FOMO in unsuccessful trades? You can share your tips for managing your emotions in the comments to inspire others. Keeping a trading journal isn't just about writing down your trades. That's superficial. Real journaling is self-evaluation. It's holding up a mirror to your behavior and asking, why did I do that? How was I feeling? Was this part of my trading plan, or was it emotional? This process forces you to confront yourself. And this confrontation is where mindset development begins. Most traders avoid keeping a journal because it's uncomfortable. Continuing to trade, hoping everything will work out, is easier than sitting down and admitting you've broken your rules. But without this honesty, you cannot change. You will continue to repeat the same mistakes and wonder why your results never improve. Keeping a journal breaks this cycle. It transforms unconscious behavior into conscious awareness. And once you become aware, you can adapt. How can you keep a trading journal? Here are a few examples. After each trade, you note not just the technical details, but the emotional ones too. What was your state of mind before entering the trade? Were you calm or anxious? Did you follow your plan or improvise? If you broke a rule, why? What emotion triggered it? This kind of evaluation reveals patterns. You begin to notice that every time you make an excessive trade, it is followed by a loss. Or you realize that every time you chase a move, it is because you saw someone else winning while scrolling through social media. These patterns are invisible until you write them down. But once you put them on paper, they become undeniable. You can no longer lie to yourself. You can't blame the market or bad luck. You see the truth. You are sabotaging yourself. And this awareness, however painful, is the first step toward freedom. Keeping a journal allows you to create distance between yourself and your emotions. When you're in the moment, emotions feel overwhelming. Fear feels like reality. Greed feels like opportunity. But when you write about these emotions later, you see them for what they really are: temporary reactions that have nothing to do with reality. Over time, this distance grows. You begin to notice emotions the moment they arise, before they control your actions. This is the beginning of the monk's mindset. Let me give you an example. Imagine you've lost money. Your first instinct is to get back to work and recover. But before you do that, you open your journal. You write, "I lost $100. I feel angry and ashamed. I want to make another trade right now to prove I'm not a loser." Just writing this down changes things. You've externalized the emotion. You've named it. And suddenly, it doesn't have the same power over you. You see that clearly. This isn't strategy. This is ego. And instead of opening a new position, you step away from the screen. That's the power of journaling. It gives you a pause button, a moment of clarity between impulse and action. And in that moment, you can choose discipline over emotion. With repeated practice, this choice becomes mastery. Journaling also teaches you to measure success differently. Most traders measure success by profit, but this is a lagging indicator. It shows you what happened, not what you did right. Keeping a journal shifts your focus to leading indicators, namely your behavior. Did you follow your plan? Did you manage your emotions? Did you wait for your setups? These are metrics that predict long-term success. And when you start tracking them, your psychology changes. You stop getting stuck on individual wins and losses. You start building a process. Think of it this way. A monk doesn't meditate to feel good in the moment. He meditates to train his mind over time. Some sessions are peaceful, others are frustrating, but he repeats it every day because he knows the value lies not in the outcome, but in the repetition. Trading is the same. Keeping a journal is your meditation. Some days you write about perfect trades. Some days you write about mistakes. But every time you write, you strengthen your self-awareness. And self-awareness is the foundation of discipline. Here's another truth most traders overlook. You can't control the market, but you can control your reaction to it. Keeping a journal helps you see where you lost control. Every time you make an excessive trade, you're giving control to your emotions. Every time you chase a trade, you're giving control to FOMO. Keeping a journal shows you exactly where you lost your energy, focus, and capital. And once you see it, you can stop it. The monk mentality is not about being emotionless. It's about keeping your emotions in check. It's about feeling fear and not letting fear influence your decisions. It's about feeling greed and not letting greed drive your actions. You don't eliminate emotions. You overcome them. You become an observer, not a participant. And journaling is the tool that makes this transformation possible. Over time, something incredible happens. You begin to enjoy the silence. Waiting no longer feels like torture. It becomes strategic. You don't need to trade every day to feel like a trader. You begin to value the quality of your decisions over their quantity. You realize that the best traders aren't the busiest. They're the most selective. They wait for their advantages to emerge, and when they do, they act without hesitation. That's how the monk's mindset works. But this mindset doesn't develop overnight. It's built through daily practice. Every time you keep a journal, you reinforce your discipline. Every time you choose to wait instead of chasing, you strengthen your patience. Every time you accept a loss without seeking revenge, you build resilience. These small actions may not feel powerful in the moment, but they accumulate over time. And eventually, you become a different trader, calm, focused, and removed from the chaos that ruins most accounts. The market will always test you. It will tempt you with moves you shouldn't make. It will bore you during quiet periods. It will trigger your emotions after losses. But if you've trained yourself by keeping a journal, you'll understand what these tests are. Opportunities to prove your discipline. Every time you pass the test, you level up. Not in profit, but in psychology. And psychology is what separates the survivors from the successful. Here's the challenge. Start keeping a journal today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. After your next trade, whether you win or lose, sit down and write. How did you feel? What did you think? Did you follow your plan? Why did you or didn't you? Be brutally honest. No one else will read this, just you and the truth. And as uncomfortable as it may be, that truth is what will set you free. The monk's mindset is not a fantasy, it's a practice, a conscious choice to observe rather than react, waiting instead of chasing, thinking instead of repeating. And journaling is the bridge that takes you there. It transforms unconscious chaos into conscious control. It transforms emotional trading into strategic practice. It makes you the kind of trader who can sit quietly and smile, knowing that patience is your advantage. You can have the best system in the world, but if you don't understand why you're breaking your own rules, you'll never be consistent. This is where most traders get stuck. They keep searching for better indicators, better time frames, better markets, and assume the problem lies outside themselves. But the problem is internal. And the only way to solve an internal problem is through internal work. That's what journaling provides you with. It's not an investment tool. It's a tool for self-discovery. The difference between a struggling trader and a profitable trader lies not in their strategies, but in their self-awareness. When you first start journaling, you feel strange. You don't know what to write. You feel like you're stating the obvious. I made a trade. I lost. I felt bad, but that's okay. It's not about writing beautifully. It's about writing honestly. Because honesty opens the door to awareness. Awareness builds the foundation for growth. Every time you write about your feelings, triggers, and patterns, you build a database of self-knowledge, and over time, this database becomes your competitive advantage. Let's illustrate what keeping a trading journal is like. Let's say you made a trade that wasn't part of your plan. You knew it was outside your criteria, but you did it anyway. Most traders just move on, maybe feel a moment of guilt, then forget about it. But if you keep a journal, you sit down and ask deeper questions. Why did I make that trade? What was I feeling right before I clicked the button? Was I bored? Was I trying to prove something? Was I reacting to a previous loss? As you write, patterns begin to emerge. Every time you made an excessive trade, you realize it was after seeing someone share a big win on Twitter. This triggers FOMO. Or every time you broke your rules, you realize it was late at night when you were tired and your discipline was weak. These insights remain invisible until they surface. But once you see them on paper, you can no longer ignore them, and this awareness empowers you. Next time you're scrolling through social media late at night, you'll recognize the pattern before it takes control. Instead of opening a trade, you'll shut down your laptop. This is the transformation that journaling provides. It turns unconscious reactions into conscious choices. You stop being a victim of your emotions and become their master. You no longer surprise yourself with your own behavior. You understand. And only when you notice can you change. A point that is often overlooked is that keeping a journal not only reveals where you went wrong, but also allows you to notice what you did right. When you understand whether there are commonalities in your best trades, you will be able to consciously continue and develop these habits. Maybe you traded when you were alert in the morning. Maybe you waited for confirmation instead of guessing. Maybe you entered the trade with calmness rather than anxiety. These patterns are as important as mistakes because they show you your optimal state. They reveal the conditions under which your advantage naturally emerges. Once you identify these conditions, you can strengthen and optimize them. You begin to structure your day around your peak performance periods. You stop trading when you are tired or emotional. You stop trading in market conditions that don't suit your style. You become selective, not because someone told you to, but because your own data shows that selectivity works. This is the power of self-awareness. It transforms general advice into personal truth. Let's talk about the monk mentality again. A monk's life revolves around routine, contemplation, and discipline. He doesn't wake up and decide what to do based on his feelings. He follows a structure that has been proven to provide inner peace for centuries. Trading requires the same approach. You need structure, you need routine, and you need contemplation. Without these three fundamental elements, you're just gambling with slightly better odds. Structure means having a clear trading plan, not just entry and exit rules, but also rules about when to trade, how much risk to take, and what conditions need to be present. Routine means following this plan every day, regardless of how you feel. Reflection means keeping a journal to see where you followed the plan and where you deviated after each session. These three elements work together to create consistency. However, most traders focus only on structure. They ignore routine and reflection. That's why they fail. Consider two traders with the same strategies. Trader A follows the plan on good days, but abandons it when disappointed or bored. Trader B follows the plan every day and records every trade. 6 months later, Trader A is still inconsistent, confused, and blaming the market. Trader B, however, has developed self-discipline. They know their triggers. They know their behavioral patterns. They are calm, focused, and profitable. The difference is not skill, but mindset. Keeping a journal also helps you detach from individual results. Most traders tie their self-worth to their last trade. They win and feel like a genius. They lose and feel like a failure. These emotional ups and downs are exhausting. They undermine confidence and lead to revenge trades. But when you keep a journal, you begin to see trades not as a definition of your identity, but as data points. You realize that a single loss doesn't mean you're a bad trader. It simply means that probability played out. This shift in perspective is liberating. It removes the emotional weight from each trade and allows you to focus on the process. Keeping a journal reveals the gap between who you think you are and who you really are as a trader. You may think you are disciplined, but your journal shows you broke your rules 3 times this week. You may think you are patient, but your journal shows you missed 5 moves due to FOMO. Facing this gap can be uncomfortable, but it is necessary because you cannot solve a problem you refuse to acknowledge. Keeping a journal forces you to acknowledge, and acknowledgement is the first step toward transformation. Let's delve deeper into the emotional side. Trading exposes all your insecurities, your need for control, your fear of failure, your impatience, your ego. These aren't trading problems, they're human problems, and the market has a habit of magnifying them. Every losing streak damages your confidence. Every missed opportunity leads to regret. Every impulsive trade reminds you that you're not as disciplined as you'd like to be. If you don't keep a journal, these feelings build up. They wear you down psychologically and can lead to a series of mistakes. They build up pressure until they explode in a series of bad trades. But by keeping a journal, you release that pressure daily. Instead of suppressing your emotions, you gain awareness and balance them. Think of journaling as emotional hygiene. Just as you brush your teeth to prevent decay, you journal to prevent emotional buildup. Every time you write about disappointment, fear, or greed, you clear your mental space. You prevent these emotions from seeping into your next trade. Over time, this practice makes you emotionally resilient. The same losses that used to devastate you now feel manageable. The same volatility that used to cause panic now feels like an opportunity. No matter what the market does, you've trained your mind to stay stable. You can strengthen your psychology like building muscle. Now let's address a common objection. Some traders say, "I don't have time to keep a journal. I'm too busy trading." But that's precisely the problem. If you're too busy trading, you're probably overtrading. Keeping a journal forces you to slow down. It creates gaps between trades. And that gap is where clarity resides. The most profitable investors aren't the busiest ones. They're the most thoughtful ones. They spend more time thinking than executing because they understand that good decisions come not from constant action, but from clear thinking. A practical framework for keeping a journal. After each trade, answer these 5 questions. 1. What was my emotional state before entering the trade? 2. Did this trade align with my plan? 3. What was I thinking when I entered? 4. How did I feel during the trade? 5. What would I do differently next time? Answering these questions takes 5 minutes, but it provides insights that could save you thousands. Over weeks and months, you'll notice patterns. Certain emotions lead to certain mistakes. Certain thoughts predict certain outcomes. This awareness becomes your advantage. Another benefit of journaling is accountability. Knowing you have to write about every trade makes you think twice before breaking your rules. It's like having a coach watching over your shoulder, except the coach is you. You become accountable to your future self. You start asking, how will I explain this decision in my journal? That question alone prevents countless bad trades, because deep down, you know you can't justify an emotional trade. You can only justify a planned trade. Keeping a journal also helps you track your progress in ways your account balance cannot. Your balance may have been stagnant for months, but your journal shows improvement. This month, you broke fewer rules than last month. You resisted the fear of missing out more often. You remained calm during withdrawal periods. These are signs of growth that don't show up in profit and loss statements, but they are the foundation of long-term success. Profitability is a lagging indicator. Discipline is a leading indicator. Journaling tracks both. Let's talk about long-term transformation. At first, keeping a journal feels like a chore. You do it not because you want to, but because you know you should. But after a few weeks, something changes. You start to look forward to it. It becomes a ritual, a moment of peace amid the chaos of trading. You sit down with your journal, evaluate your day, and feel a sense of clarity. The process itself becomes rewarding, not because it's easy, but because it's meaningful. You're no longer just trading, you're growing. Over time, the monk's mindset becomes second nature. You stop feeling the urge to trade with every move. You stop checking your phone every 5 minutes. You stop comparing yourself to other traders. You develop an inner calm that nothing can shake. This isn't because you've mastered the market. It's because you've mastered yourself. And self-mastery is paramount in trading psychology. Here's the paradox. The less you trade, the more you earn. The more you wait, the better your entries become. The calmer you are, the clearer you think. This goes against everything society teaches us. We're told to hurry, to hustle, to stay busy. But trading rewards the opposite. It rewards patience, selectivity, and calmness. The monk's mindset is more than a metaphor, and journaling is the practice that builds it. Let me share something personal. Every profitable trader I've studied has some kind of thinking practice. Maybe journaling, maybe meditation, maybe reviewing trades with a mentor. But they all have a way of processing their emotions and learning from their behavior. None of them rely solely on motivation or willpower. They've all set up systems to hold themselves accountable because they understand that discipline isn't a personality trait, it's a practice. And practices require structure. The market doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care if you're tired, stressed, or emotional. It moves based on supply and demand, not your mood. But your results depend entirely on how you manage your emotions. That's why trading is a psychological game disguised as a financial game. Charts are only superficial. The real battle is internal. Keeping a journal is the weapon that helps you win that battle. Some traders ask how long they need to keep a journal before seeing results. The answer varies depending on the situation. Some notice changes within a few weeks. Others take months. But the truth is, if you're looking for quick results, you're missing the point. Keeping a journal isn't a trick. It's a habit. It's something you do not just until you make a profit, but throughout your entire career. Because even if you're consistently making money, you'll face emotional challenges. You'll need to think. You'll need to keep your feet on the ground. The habit never ends. It just gets easier. Think of journaling as preventive medicine. You don't wait to get sick to take care of your health. You exercise, eat well, and get regular rest. Trading psychology works the same way. You start thinking before your account blows up. You journal every day to prevent the blow-up. You develop mental resilience before you need it. And when the market tests you, and it will, you'll be ready. Not because you're lucky, but because you're prepared. Here's the final truth. The monk mentality isn't about avoiding emotions. It's about not being controlled by them. You'll still feel fear when the market moves against you. You will still feel greed when you make big gains. You will still feel disappointment after a loss. But instead of reacting to these emotions, you will observe them. You will accept them not as permanent truths, but as temporary states. And in this acceptance, you will find freedom. The freedom to choose discipline over impulse. The freedom to wait instead of chase. The freedom to trade from a calm and clear place instead of emotional chaos. This is the freedom every trader truly seeks. Not just financial freedom, but psychological freedom too. The freedom to sit calmly in front of the charts. The freedom to accept loss without being dragged into a spiral. The freedom to wait for hours without feeling like you're wasting time. This freedom comes from within. And keeping a journal is the practice that unlocks this freedom. Here's my challenge to you. Commit to keeping a journal for 30 days. Not half-heartedly, not when you feel like it. Every day for 30 days. Write down how you felt after each trade, what you thought, and whether you stuck to your plan. Be honest. Be specific. At the end of 30 days, read everything you wrote. You'll be amazed by what you discover. You'll see patterns you never noticed before. You'll understand yourself in ways you never understood before. And most importantly, you'll begin to develop a monk's mindset, the mindset that transforms a struggling trader into a consistent trader. The market will always be there. Opportunities will always come. However, your ability to execute depends entirely on your internal state. Your internal state is shaped by your daily practices. Keeping a journal is a practice that changes everything. It's simple, but not easy. It requires honesty, consistency, and patience, but it also requires trading. And if you master journaling, you can master trading. Because at the end of the day, trading isn't about predicting the market. It's about understanding yourself. And a trader who understands themselves will usually perform better than one who doesn't. The monk sits quietly, not because he has nothing to say, but because he knows the power of stillness. A trader who has developed their mindset waits patiently, not because there is no opportunity, but because they know the power of selectivity. Both understand the same truth. Mastery comes from within, and the journey inward begins with practice. For the monk, this is meditation. For the trader, it is keeping a journal. Start today. Your future self will thank you. We understand the challenges of mental fatigue in trading and the importance of managing your psychology. If you want to see more videos on trading psychology, you can like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching Mindful Wealth. Wishing you always find profitable opportunities. Have a nice day.